Welcome to the Mindset Connection podcast, and thank you for tuning in for our 38th episode. If you are new to us, welcome. We are your hosts, Jennifer Clearwaters and Cindy O'Connell. And in every episode, we are showcasing amazing people doing extraordinary things in the fields of health and wellness and well-being. And we hope that you're going to love our guest just as much as we are. We're very impressed, and we are welcoming Sean Martin to our show today. Thank you. He's tuning in from Long Island. Not able to make the crazy drive, but he is still here. So thank you for being here with us. So I'm going to jump in and just tell you a little bit about Sean. Sean Martin is a devoted husband, a father of two, a serial entrepreneur who rebuilt his life from the ground up after incarceration. What began as dreams scribbled on a prison notebook became a blueprint for multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses, which we definitely want to ask about. Now a transformational speaker, coach, and commercial real estate investor, Sean mentors entrepreneurs and shows others how to turn struggle into strategy and purpose into power. Sean's story is definitely one of resilience, transformation, and dedication to growth, for sure. We have his book right here called Beyond the Bronx. It was actually an excellent read. So definitely recommend. So Sean turns life challenges into opportunities for personal and professional triumph. His journey from the Bronx housing projects to becoming a voice for change is definitely a testament to resilient grit and purpose. He is dedicated to nonprofit advocates. He is a motivational speaker and the host of the R.E.A.L Mentors podcast. And we are welcoming him. We want to hear all about this good work that he's doing. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for that amazing introduction.
Yes.
I appreciate you, Jen, Cindy, for having me on. And I apologize again for not being able to make a drive all the way out to New Jersey.
It's okay.
We understand.
We understand.
The 3 hours each way.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you don't hit traffic.
If you don't, I know. Mm-hmm.
So tell us your story, because I'm sure after listening to that introduction, people are like, what? How did this man do what he's done? So tell us.
I want to start with one word: love.
Oh.
Yes, I love it.
The love of my mother, and then belief. She instilled both of those things in me very early on. Love, as any mother who's healthy loves their child. She was an only mom, or a single mom, I should say. I was an only child for 13 years, so I was the recipient of all the love that she had to give. And the big lesson that I learned early on in terms of belief was, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. It sounds so cliche and so simple, and it was read to me in the form of a book called The Little Engine That Could. About that little engine getting up that hill with all the toys after everyone else said they couldn't do it. And that stuck. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, and I've been through the ringer, quite a few times, sometimes of my own making, sometimes life just lifing. But that belief and that love has always kept me going. So I was born in the late 70s in a housing project in the Bronx, Parkside Projects more specifically. So it was a colorful upbringing. We had community, but we also had chaos. We had crack cocaine as, the 80s closed out into the 90s, which presented its own challenges. But my mother got up and worked every day for a living. So I got to see what a work ethic looked like. And on the flip side, I got to see what generational welfare recipients looked like. But thankfully, I leaned into the former and not the latter. And I was able to go out there and just not give up on myself.
So, Sean, one of the first things you said is it's simple. And it's so funny because, I'm a meditation teacher and I call myself a white witch. And I have been writing down it's simple, because it is. It's just that we just complicate things. So literally, I wrote 2 thank you notes and I wrote, it's simple. Be grateful, be present. And you're saying this, I'm like, I have chills.
I know. I
have goosebumps myself. And I think we have to dig into that. It's only simple when the distractions are at a minimum, or you're aware that they are distractions. And I also think it's only simple when you've reached some pinnacle, or not pinnacle, but some level of peace or desire for peace. And unfortunately, we don't realize the pull that childhood has on us. So despite the love and the belief that was instilled in me, I'd be remiss not to say that there was dysfunction and there was drugs and there was alcohol. I've chosen in my older life not to focus on those things, but I also realized through therapy that they still have a hell of a pull on me. So it is simple, but it is not simple to get to the place where you can actually view it as such.
It's
No.
hard work.
You have to
right?
do hard work.
Hard work.
But yeah, you have to do the work and you have to go through life. And hopefully you get a good head start and your parents are able to instill some sort of value system that is cohesive with those two things, you know, peace, love, and simplicity. But unfortunately, life is life, and rarely are people given that opportunity, especially in the space of entrepreneurship. I find it very rare that entrepreneurs come from safe homes, or, you know, we thrive in chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And much of the times we come from homes that provide that chaos for us.
Yes.
And I'm sure both of you know that we're all running a program. Many of us, unbeknownst to us, are running that program, and it was downloaded on us as children, and we're just completely unaware of it. So the simplicity, just to go full circle, only comes through all of those things. And usually later in life for most people,
Yes.
40s, sometimes 50s, there's this awakening because you have this itch, this desire for more that you've always had. But I guess you just reach a point where you've had enough, you want to
Exactly.
find peace. And I think we're all at that space in our lives. And that's why when you search the algorithm, or the algorithm finds you when you're in this self-development space, it puts you in touch with people that are in that same mindset. And we all have our own strengths to add to that conversation. But you do have to seek your tribe out. And unfortunately, it's geographical, right? When we're born and as we get older, everything's geography. It's who's next to you, who's around you. And it's not till you get resourceful, or you get that bug to start getting on a plane, or going to a mastermind or a seminar, or picking up a book that's completely outside of what you would have read when you were younger or provided to you by your caretakers, that you start to see that the world is bigger, that the thought process of the world is bigger, that what you know is only a fraction of what's available.
Yeah.
So I think we become students again later in life, but it's studies of our own desire, as opposed to the remedial classes that were put in, you know, private or public,
Exactly. So,
as children.
yeah. And, I know I told you I'm a New York girl. I worked in New York City public schools. I was
That's
an
right.
ESL teacher, and, probably 95% of my students were not from this country. And this is
Yeah.
where I have a question for you. You, with the way that you grew up too. I sometimes would have my students say that, like, someone achieving what you've achieved is not for them. It's not in the cards. Like, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have a way to do that. They wouldn't have the means to do that. They wouldn't have the education to do that. And so you, as an example, what would your advice be? Like, maybe you can talk to us about how you developed your businesses and how you went from the Bronx and your upbringing to being so successful. And what advice would you give to someone like my students who are thinking, well, I could never be like him?
Get away from where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
The first opportunity that presented itself in my life, I was a good student because I had natural abilities. I was pretty smart. My mother always talked to me as a child, interacted with me. So people smarts, and they translated to book smarts. And there's a difference between someone who studies diligently and becomes book smart, or someone who's just can pick up on it because they have a worldly smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the latter. I had worldly smarts. I had people smarts. I believe it was in middle school. I was tested, and I tested high IQ, and I passed a program called Prep for Prep, specifically for students from underprivileged backgrounds and communities. As a teacher, maybe they have a different name they go by, but there's always a program there that can sniff out, for lack of a better term, those students who have a higher propensity to succeed. I aced everything until I got to the interview part. And I remember it vividly. I was a young kid. I don't even think I was 13, maybe 12. My mother and I were sitting at the desk, and they told me about going away. I would have to go upstate to preparatory school. And I just clammed up after that. I'm like, wait, what? No, I'm out. Like, in my mind, I still remember shutting down. My personality died after that. I was like, that's too scary.
Yeah, that is scary, though, for
and
little
that's
kid.
what happens. We always, no matter where you come from, no matter what color you are, human beings are wired to stay safe, to stay in the familiar. And when that opportunity presented itself, I balked. I didn't take advantage of it. I have no regrets. My life would have looked wildly different. Maybe I'd be a CEO or a high six-figure earner in some company because I learned to play the game at a higher level. But that wasn't in the cards for me. So to those kids and those young adults, I would say, get the hell out as quickly as possible. Your mom, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, and the dudes and gals on the block, they only know that little slither
Yep.
of what the world has to offer.
Yep.
So getting out for me was at the age of 20. I had gone to community college. I graduated high school on time, 18, no summer schools, no nothing. Remember, school, I would always do just enough to get by. I wasn't an exemplary student. Bronx Community College was the turning point for me. In my second year there, because it's a 2-year school, I got involved with a lot of organizations. I leaned into my people skills and I made connections and relationships. And that afforded me opportunity to go to a private 4-year school called Ithaca College in Ithaca, New York, which is the other college across from Cornell University, the most famous sister up there in that beautiful town. And it was there when I finally got out that I started to expand my horizon. I started to see and meet people from all over the state, from different backgrounds. They paired me up with a brother that was from Rochester, African-American guy. We were best buds, but I guess they know who to put who with, because if they would have put me with a kid who came from the middle class and was from Long Island, where I live now, it would have been a different experience. So they put the two of us together and it worked out wonderfully. But getting out really showed me that the world was bigger than the Bronx, that it was bigger than the projects or the bus that I took to school or to work or the train. It's just New York City so large that it can fool you into thinking that this is how the world is.
No, it's true. And it's also
and
you're
that
in the same
applies
routine.
to anybody from anywhere.
Yeah, the same routine over and over and over again. We can even say that because now, like, I live down in the shore. I was in New York City for many years, but we have that same thing here where we have people who maybe will go away close enough to a school, but and then they'll come right back here and live in the same town. So they're not getting exposure to what the world has to offer.
And I think, too, that a lot of students because we're so close knit here, when they go away to school, quite a few come back.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even finish 4 years because they go locally because it's so different.
Yeah. They can't
and they're
survive.
not ready to, to look bigger.
This isn't necessarily a poverty thing.
That's right.
It's a human condition.
Exactly.
Most people will die within a certain amount of miles from where they were born. And it's not a lot of them. It's like 20 or 30 miles. I wish this was a Joe Rogan. We'd have somebody look it up and give us the answer.
Oh, we don't have that?
Oh, yeah.
But most people die within a radius of where they're born.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm proud to say, we're moving to Florida in a couple of months.
Hey.
You are.
I'll have children born in 3 different states.
Good for
because
you.
it's a testament to me continuing to move, to grow. And I think that is what people need to do. They need to get away because the physical environment will make you so comfortable, no matter how chaotic, no matter how traumatic. I mean, let's go deep. There are battered women in domestic abuse situations
everywhere.
And the average is 7 times of them going through that and calling the police and before they have the courage to leave. That's the average. There's some that never leave, some that end up dead, and there's some that the first sign of it, they're out. But the majority stay, because even as chaotic and as unhealthy as that is, the human brain is wired for familiarity. And until you get outside of that bubble, you have a limited experience, which you start to ingrain as fact. Have you ever met somebody who's of an advanced age, a stubborn old person that the world just makes perfect sense to?
Plenty of them.
Yes. I don't want to shout out any family members of mine, but I mean, I was just
yes, we all have one in mind.
It's painful. It is painful when you're always growing to be around people that refuse growth.
Exactly.
And the only way to grow is to get outside of your comfort zone.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So okay, you go to Ithaca. How do you start your first business? What happened?
So my first business, ironically enough, started at Ithaca College. I always worked when I was down in the city. I always had a summer job from the age of 12 on, summer youth employment program.
And I'm going to stop you right there because that's key.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you that. Did you work while you were in school?
Absolutely.
And
my mother worked all her life.
Right.
City of New York, social worker, never made more than $50,000 in any given year. overtime and all.
And learning to budget your time. That's when a kid is in school and they're also working or they're playing a sport or they're doing something, they're learning life skills because you have to learn how to budget time.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and
good.
I think now time is skewed because you can put your phone down you can put your head down and look at the phone and 30 minutes fly by.
That's right.
And it's almost not real.
Yep.
Because and you look at the screen time usage, I'm even embarrassed with some of my numbers. You know, I can use the excuse that I'm a social media personality now, but it's shameful some of the hours that I put in on a daily basis that I'm looking.
The adults were just as guilty.
You're going to stop that tomorrow.
Yes. We're going to reduce.
That's right. I don't like to lie. I actually try not to lie ever. Not intentionally. So I don't want to say yes to that one.
Yeah. It does make you more distracted.
It does.
It makes you more distracted when you...
And that's what we bring it back to the beginning of our conversation, right? It's only easy if you can minimize the distractions.
That's right.
And we see that people eat all into the media, the government politics, and it's such an excuse to not try.
Yeah.
The only way to do it is to start as early as possible. Start getting the reps in, whether it's on a football field, baseball field, soccer field, gymnastics, mat, whatever. Sports is great. That wasn't part of my story. As big and fit as I am now in my older age, I was a lumbering, chunky, goofy kid when I was a teenager. But work, I always did from the age of 12. And throughout college, I would go to school all day and work at night. Throughout high school, I would go to school throughout the day and work at night. So this was part of my routine. And I'm glad you pointed it out, because until I started to go on this self-development journey, I didn't realize why I was successful.
Yes.
And work
You
and
have a
working
work
early.
ethic.
And another thing is sales.
Yeah.
Sales is probably the most valuable profession for somebody who comes from no or limited means to start to empower themselves with the tools and really the spirit, the fight to actually keep going. Because, you know, back when I was doing telephone sales, it was 3 out of 100 to close sales.
That's right.
3%. You got to hear no 97 times out of 100 to keep going. That builds character.
Yes, it
does.
does.
So work started early for me. And then in Ithaca College is where I started my first business. And this is where the hustle came out. My Bronx roots, you know, in full shining mode.
Yeah.
I was a DJ on the radio there because they have a school of communication. They had a local radio station, and I was a disc jockey there back when we were still playing records and CDs.
Yeah.
And then we started doing party promotion. So we started doing nightclub promotions, and that was pretty fun to say the least. But I mean, we would pull crowds of 500 people at some events. So we were the guys up there, me and a couple of different people throughout the years. But then it spun into something a little more legit. After college, I didn't know what I want to do. I had an ex-girlfriend at the time, my first love that I was up there. So I didn't want to leave. She was a little younger. And I just hung out another year. And then I started doing marketing, but grassroots to the fullest. So a lot of these colleges have these takeout places in town.
Yeah.
And they need to promote, but they're not allowed to go on the college campus. So we were the vessel. So we started offering marketing services. I mean, we had flyers printed out professionally to market. All right, if you want us to hit, you know, this many people on this side. And then we were Ithaca College students. So that was easy. We would go to the dorms, put the menus under the door.
Yeah.
But then we even, you know, act as if, build the plane in the air. And I talk about it in the book. We started to promote Cornell University, which was much more buttoned up, harder for us to get around, didn't have access to the dorms. So we started recruiting kids from there to make extra money, and they would either give us access, or at times we just pressed the doorbells to somebody.
To see if somebody came in.
And we'd go put the flyers under the door in Cornell where we didn't have as much access.
Yeah.
So we hustled, man. We hustled, and that was the origins of me starting my own business. Obviously, you know, still a bit of a gray area there.
Yeah, but again, you were willing to work hard at it, so it makes a difference.
You know, we were willing to, by any means necessary, make shit happen.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
did. So, you know, you also talk that, like, that whole story's in the book. It's great how you detailed what you did at college, but you also talk a lot about in the book how you are a real advocate of nonprofit and people who are doing God's work and being of service, which is a big deal for Cindy and for me. So, you know, are there certain organizations that you are really driven to support, or is there any special mission that you have in mind?
Yeah. I realized, and I wrote in that the black and white composition notebooks in that prison cell, that the secret to an amazing life was impacting as many lives as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it took me another 15 some odd years to get into a position where that became my life mission, but I knew it early on. And I don't know how I knew it. Like, I can't go back and, where I wrote that and why I wrote that. Maybe it was something I read in a Tony Robbins or a Dalai Lama book or one of these great books I got to pick up in prison. But I knew that the secret to living was given. And right now, I'm president and chair of an organization called KR3Ts, Keep Rising to the Top, founded by a lady from Spanish Harlem, Violeta Galagarza, who was a choreographer and dancer. And she's been doing this for 36 years now. So I met her a couple years ago when I started on the mission, and we clicked immediately. And that's something close to my heart, because whoever feels sad when they're dancing,
I know,
whoever is negatively, you just can't. The two things don't exist. It's like gratitude. When you're in gratitude, you can't be sour. Exactly. And when you're dancing, you can't be sad.
Yeah.
So she has taken a lot of her approach to dancing, and it's street hip hop, but choreography with themes and just high level dance, but raw at the same time, raw expression of physical movement. And then she's also done it in neighborhoods and in schools, and that gives kids an outlet. And I think we talked about distraction multiple times now. There's just so many negative distractions wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But especially in impoverished neighborhoods, in the inner city and of color. Let's face it, Spanish Harlem, East Harlem, West Harlem, and the South Bronx is about as bad as it gets in all of the United States of America, despite all the money that floats around New York. So this one definitely hit close to home, and I've been very involved with that organization. And my ultimate mission through my R.E.A.L Mentors program is impacting the lives of 10 million inner city youth through that program by teaching them things like financial literacy, first and foremost, the power of dreaming and thinking big, but also the knowledge to know that you need to protect those dreams from the people you love the most. So I always, when I speak to kids, I say, you do not, you have to honor your parents. They're doing the best they can with what they have. So whatever your feelings about them may be, understand that they are doing the best that they can with what they have. And that's not something that most people hear until they're working in therapy later in life.
Yep.
So we can plant that seed. We can get them out of the blame game. And I also tell them to protect your dreams. They may be too out there. They may be something that most people are just not going to understand it. So hold that to yourself, or share it with somebody that you can trust with that dream. Because nobody kills dreams more than the people you love.
That is 100% true.
Yeah. I'm just like nodding my head. So I have to ask you, do you dance?
I don't dance as much as I used to, because I don't drink anymore. Nothing lowers your inhibitions like that. However,
a shot of tequila? You're right.
I do dance. And I you're wearing headphones. And the coolest thing I realized, and I want to integrate this into my events in the future, is those silent dance parties.
I did that once. It's hilarious.
How fun. But it's
so
almost
fun.
like you go into your own world, because if it was just music, people would not be as inclined to dance.
Right.
But in that silent disco, what an amazing psychology experiment.
Exactly.
We were at all inclusive. And I mean, people from all over the States and the world and Europe for Christmas and New Year's and the DR and the resort. And you get 3 different channels. So you could do your EDM, your Latin music, or your American pop, and everybody was just dancing like no one was there.
Exactly.
No one was there, and boy, it was just such a good time. My mother, who's in a wheelchair, there was still dancing. So it was a good time.
Yeah.
So yes, I still dance, not as much as I used to. Admittedly, we need to get back into that.
Well, here you go. So we have a few things to change, right? Going on social media
and taking up a dance
start
class.
Dancing.
Yeah.
We're always evolving.
Yes, exactly.
Always evolving. Exactly. Boy, I'll tell you what, you have some beautiful words of wisdom. I'm like frantically writing down.
Yes, you do.
The secret to living is giving. Beautiful.
I'm giving credit to the one and only Tony Robbins for that one.
Is that his? Oh.
But it's true.
But
That's so true, though. You can't.
Personal development is not Nobody's reinventing this wheel.
Exactly.
It's this regurgitated information. You want to go back to scripture. The Bible's the rules for living.
Yep.
It's just that it gets a bad rap. I've been in AA, and the 12 steps are just rules for living.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Personal development is just rules for living a better, more fruitful, more meaningful life. And that is why I guess I'm kind of like that guy that gets religion and just wants to share it with everybody. But religion is just a little more coarse. It's a little more of a taboo subject. It's like politics. It just puts people's guards to a 10.
Mhm.
Yes, it does.
We're in this self-development world. People that don't want to change, they view it as just the same. They view it as you getting religion. Oh, you're trying to preach to me now?
Yep.
No, I'm just telling you, you know the version of me that was unhappy and this and that and a drinker. And now there's this new version of me. And I just want to share that with the world. And I have a unique gift of speech and speaking. And
you do.
And beautiful energy.
I would be wasting my life.
Exactly. And I think for all of us, Jen, yourself, and myself, it's an offering. I say to people, I'm offering this to you. I'm not preaching, I'm offering.
Yeah.
So it just takes a different kind of a feeling towards people. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm offering you another perspective.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Communication is funny because people don't realize how much communication is the way they receive it, not the way it's intended. So think of a text that gets taken out of context.
Yes.
Constantly.
Even in person, the way, I'm married for 17 years, I've been together. I can say something with the utmost, honesty and compassion. And it's just, depending on the mood, it might be received in a completely different way. And that's not to, shit on my wife. I do the same to her.
Exactly.
On the mood, the state, or whatever I got going through my head.
Exactly.
So a lot of communication is the way it's received.
Yes,
not
it's
necessarily the way it's delivered. But with that said, when you can master the delivery of the message, those are the people that I'm striving to be.
Exactly.
The Ed Milet's, the John Maxwell's, the people that can move mountains with their mouth and with their storytelling, because that is a gift that is for the select few. But the work ethic is developing because I get to see now by being in these rooms just how much work goes into mastering any craft.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And a part of that is visualization too. So I want to actually, if you'll let me, I wanted to read a little bit, an excerpt from the book that I really resonated with me because it really was, you were already, this vision of you that you're trying to become, you were already thinking about it back then.
Oh, yeah.
So in the book, you have this is what you said. I'm sitting in a prison cell with the black and white composition notebook. I had nothing but time and desperation. So I wrote about the life I wanted, the woman I'd marry, the children I'd have, the businesses I would build, the impact I would make. I wrote it all down, not because I believed it would happen, but because I had to believe something would change. Everything I wrote came true. For years, I kept my story private. I was ashamed. I thought it would disqualify me from helping others. But recently, I changed something. If my vision changed my life, maybe sharing it could change someone else's. So I stopped hiding. I wrote this book because staying silent was a betrayal of everyone still trapped in the story that I escaped. Every day, someone gives up on themselves when they could have given themselves a chance. And that, to me, I just was thinking, you were already thinking about how I could have a better life and how I could give it then to pass it forward to someone else. So you were already like visualizing and journaling, which are very powerful tools. I'm a therapist in private practice, and I always laugh because everybody that works with me has a journal, and we have to journal, and we have to write things down. You are already doing that. So are these tools, as you're saying, as you want to move into these higher circles, are these things that you're still doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't journal as meticulously as I used to. I'll be honest, let's work through an example here of how people create excuses. The first thing in my mouth was I have young kids, so I always race to the gym because that's my happy place. But you have to make time for it.
That's right. Yes, you do.
Admittedly, all the things that I'm trying to accomplish, but more importantly, the actions I'm taking to facilitate that change, they do introduce challenges. And those challenges can easily become reasons for you to stop doing the thing. But
Yep.
journaling is something that I've done more consistently than I'm doing at the current moment. But action is something I'm doing more consistently now that I was doing in the times when I
Yeah.
was journaling. And I need to admittedly mesh those things together seamlessly where it's a non-negotiable, where you have to. So
It'll become a
time
ritual.
management is a challenge. But yeah, journaling is one of the most important things that someone can do. I picked up that habit in prison and then quickly dismissed it for years
Mm,
until I got back into self-development and saw how important it is. And there's always that example people use of writing things down where they had the class of, let's just say 78 from some college, where the people that wrote down what they were going to achieve in life
Mm-hmm.
ended up accomplishing far more than the ones that didn't 20 years down the line.
yeah.
I think some realizations have come to light about that example, but the point is this. If you can create a vision clear enough and powerful enough that you can see it when you close your eyes and you start to develop the behaviors and the standards that are in line with that vision you've created, you are far more likely to get there. And I'll give you a great example. I was journaling prior to going to prison because when I was 22 in college, I was taking notes. Now, not in a
Mhm.
journal per se, but I was setting life goals. I remember writing, what would my life look like if I stopped drinking alcohol and smoking so much weed?
Mm.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I got sober 23 years later that I realized that that thought, that idea was planted 23 years
Yeah.
prior on a freaking legal yellow notepad where I tore it out and kept it. And I was digging through those notes after I had gotten out of the detox that I write about when I quit drinking alcohol about 3+ years ago, that I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. It was
And
already
you talk
there.
about journaling manifestation. Here's the coolest example. That was a cool one. And this isn't to brag or to boast. This is just to tell people how valuable dreaming is and why I was able to do that in a prison cell because I didn't have the distractions of the world pulling at me. I wrote in a black and white composition notebook that I'm going to be a commercial real estate investor and have an 8-figure portfolio. And I never took a real estate course. I never owned a piece of real estate outside of me and the bank owning my current home. And I tell you, on the second visit to a Tony Robbins seminar, when I had joined his yearly group, I ran into my now real estate partner who specializes in retail commercial real estate. And I had the
There
best
you
year of
go.
my life. And I have an 8-figure portfolio that we share together.
Wow.
And
Good for
that
you.
is the power of planting a seed, an idea, not knowing how it's going to come to fruition, and to some extent, not even chasing it. But when the time is right, it comes to you.
Yes.
So yeah, I couldn't agree more that
Yeah.
manifestation is real, but the work still needs to be done. And that's
Mhm.
kind of the tail end of the sentence that most people leave out
Yeah.
when they're in a
But there's
mirror
work.
saying, I am
Yeah.
loved, I am rich. Yeah, now go make things happen
Yeah,
to
exactly.
facilitate that belief.
That's great.
And
Thank
that's where
you.
most people get lost. It's like playing the lottery. Well, if I say it in a mirror every morning, it'll come true.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
Yeah. I mean, there is hard work involved.
Yes, there is hard
And I
work
think
involved.
that's what people.
There's a lot of luck involved too.
There is luck.
But the harder you work, the luckier you get.
But
Yes.
and honestly, I feel like people can attract luck too.
Yes.
Because they're more open
Their
to
energy is open to
like
receive
I'm
it.
open to meeting this person,
Yeah.
just as you met this your partner. You know, if you were closed and just walking around that workshop and not paying any attention in your own little head, you would never have met him. But
Want
it's
to hear
being
something even crazier?
Yeah.
I didn't meet him at the workshop. I met him at the airport on a layover because the flight there got delayed.
Look
And
at that.
one of the other guys I spoke to for 5 minutes at a previous workshop introduced the two of us because they knew each other. Hey, Dan. Dan's like, hey, this is Andy. Andy, Dan, Sean, boom. We're on the line rescheduling. Next thing we know, we can't fly till the next day. He's got a condo in downtown Chicago because he's from Iowa. He's like, hey, you guys hang out with me and I'm like, yeah, that's
Wow.
very sweet of you, but I'll go rent a hotel room. And sure enough, we stood at his house that night. We're now best buds and partners and colleagues. And just, again,
He
shit
was
is-
connecting the
it's-
dots.
yeah, connecting the
Connecting the
dots,
dots.
right?
Once you choose to believe in
That's
magic,
right.
it becomes
That's
real.
right.
For sure.
Exactly. So Two questions. Who or what influenced you? Who are your biggest influencers? Obviously, your mother was an influence on you. She, for values and character and
Hmm.
work ethic and numerous other things.
Love.
But who else was an influence on you?
So I've got to say, I picked up Awaken the Giant Within. Tony Robbins has been a big inspiration
Okay.
for me. I got to tell him that story in person. And I quickly told him, being very comfortable in his presence, whereas other people shrink, I told him, listen, everybody thanks you for changing their life. I just want to thank you for giving me the tools for me
I
to
love
change
that.
their life.
Mm,
Yep.
So there's
beautiful.
plenty of tools out there.
That's right.
So I'm not going to give Tony Robbins credit for changing my life. His book changed my life because it gave me the knowledge that we're telling ourselves a story. And
Yeah,
if we're
Yeah.
telling ourselves a story, we can start to tell ourselves a different story. And it was in
exactly.
my deepest, darkest time with nothing to lose and minimal distractions that I actually started to dream unencumbered. And one of the first things I do with my clients when I coach is I help them to dream unencumbered. And I ask them, what are the 10 things that you want to accomplish in life? And I'll say things, oh, I want to buy a home. Okay, what kind of home? How
Right.
big is the home? What
You
area
need the
for the most part?
details.
You need details. And I think people just I always use the Forrest Gump at the beginning and the end. There's a feather that opens the movie and closes the movie. And I think the meaning of that is we're all just floating through life. And then you have this magical movie, which I stop every time I see on cable to watch.
I
Me
know. Me
too.
too.
Me
And
too.
you would get trapped.
Forrest Gump. And this very goofy, not smart man just kind of floats through life and all these magical things happen.
Yep.
And obviously, none of us are so fortunate, but most of us are just floating through life. Wherever the wind blows us, it's like getting on a train at Times Square or a big hub and not taking the time to realize, well, this train's going that way. Where do I want to go?
Yeah.
And most people just get on the first train that comes and they don't think anything of it.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast, Real, R-E-A-L Mentors.
Yeah.
So the acronym is Real Examples Altering Lives, because I believe myself to be one, and I love to attract more people that have overcome resilient or have showed resilience and overcome struggles and obstacles and tragedy and trauma to realize their greatest selves.
Hmm.
I think those are the best stories. I think everybody loves a comeback story.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody loves somebody who comes out the gate winning. Nobody loves the story of a guy who had a leg up. It's the people that have gotten beaten down only to get back up and rise stronger. We know the story of the Phoenix. And I just, within the past couple of years, learned the story of, I believe it's the bald eagle or some kind of eagle. I believe it's the bald eagle, that at a certain age, its feathers are withered. It's basically on the way out, and it realizes it has to do this painful process of ripping out each one of its
Hmm.
feathers so that it can grow back stronger and more powerful. And
Mm.
it wasn't even prison for me. It was alcohol. It was living the
Mm.
life of my dreams, having found success in my medical supply business that made me millions upon millions of dollars, only to go home and have way too many drinks every night and lock out my family and my daughter at the time. That's when I realized I needed to rip my feathers out. It was by
Yeah.
getting sober and attending Tony Robbins and diving all the way into self development and just looking in the mirror and realizing that I'm the only one in control. And how am I showing up? How am I showing up to this marriage? How am I showing up to be the father? How am I showing up to do all these things that I never saw growing up? So I had hit my plateau and realized I was completely miserable,
Yep.
having attained all the things that I thought would bring me happiness. And then I dug back in those notebooks and I realized I had to go deeper.
Yep.
It was
There's more
about the
work to do.
people I loved and who I surrounded myself and what I was doing, most importantly, in the world. So, Real Examples Altering Lives is about just that. Entrepreneurs who have lessons to teach for upcoming entrepreneurs or people looking to break the self-imposed chains of, a W2 income, or maybe it's just a side hustle. And then it's people doing God's work. So people like Violetta from KR3Ts
Mm.
or yourselves, who I'm going to have on the show, because you're using your life experience to share with others how they can transform their own. So it's a show about transformation and using people as the vessel to tell stories, human stories, in order to facilitate that change that so many people want in the world.
I love it.
Thank
I love
you.
it. And
It's
so
beautiful.
before we forget, how, if people are listening, and I'm sure that they are, and going, I need to talk to him, how can people find you?
Our big platform, and it's me answering the majority of my DMs, will be the Instagram page, which is the Sean Martin, TheSeanMartin.
Mm-hmm.
And that name goes across all platforms. Sean
Good.
Martin. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. So it's not hard to find us. And then our website is therealseanmartin.com. You can sign up for our mailing list. And if anybody's interested in getting in contact with me directly, DM on Instagram would probably be the best way. And we can set up a phone call.
That's
So,
great.
you know,
I'm sure people are going
Yeah.
to be contacting you for sure.
So these are some final questions that we ask every guest
Yeah.
on our podcast.
They're from our book.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you view failure?
okay. I thought you were going to ask them all at once.
No, just one
Probably
at a
not
time.
good
One
with
at a
my ADHD.
You're
so
ready.
good plan, one at a time. Failure sucks, but I have embraced it because it is part of the process.
Okay.
Yes.
You hear the same cliches all the time.
Yeah.
Fail forward, fear, failure, both connected. You know, fear everything and run. Or what is it? Something, everything, and rise. I don't necessarily use that acronym too often, but listen, just do it. You're gonna fail more than you succeed.
Exactly.
right.
The bottom line. The bottom line is most people are afraid to fail, so they don't even try.
Exactly.
That's right.
Afraid to look
Exactly.
foolish. I look back, I've been doing social media almost 3 years now. And I gotta tell you, I look back at one point at some of those videos and I was cringing.
Oh, us too.
You're not gonna
You're
sound
like, "Ooh."
good, you're not gonna look good, but that is what it takes to get to good. And that is what
Exactly.
it takes to get to great.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good.
So failure is now something I embrace. It means I'm a step closer to success.
Yep.
And I don't fear failing anymore. I actually love it.
So what are your 3 most important strengths? Don't overthink it.
Just
Right from your
People-
gut.
People by far.
Mm-hmm.
I
100%.
know that my energy, my communication skills, I always say people are your greatest resource, but now in this digital age, they're probably the most underutilized resource. That is why I love what I'm doing, because I think people are going to crave authenticity and connection more than they ever have. Give it 5 years and the world is going to be either disconnected or looking for connection.
Yes.
And people skills, definitely number 1. Number 2 is my heart. I lead with my heart. It is damn near impossible to get me out of my heart space. And I have a saying, which is change the world, don't let it change you. So even if you wrong me, I just understand that that's your flaw, that's your issue. And it happened to cross my path, but I'm not going to let it affect the way that I go out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So screw me, screw you. I'm no sucker, but at the same time, I'm not going to change or shift my energy for anybody or anything that hurts me in the moment. And then number 3 is the ability to dream, and to dream of things that scare the shit out of me, because I know that that's where true fulfillment lies. And that's what I've chosen to preach. And that's who I surround myself with. It's people that have or have accomplished so much more than I've even thought that I was capable of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are
That's
great.
amazing.
So these are actually from our book. Well, those are too, but is there something that you want to change? It's a yes or no
in life.
in life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll take that as
yes,
a yes.
we'll take it as a
I'll
yes.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
What's holding you back?
Self-imposed limits still.
I'm very surprised.
Which I love that that's such a genuine and
Yes.
honest and truthful thing to say, because someone who is as successful as you, people might think like, what? He still has fears and doubts?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Don't we all?
Yes,
If
but
you don't,
sometimes
you're not striving for anything.
but like
Exactly.
sometimes that gets hidden as you
Oh yeah, I'm
people
probably I've got shoe leather in my taste buds all the time. I always put my foot in my mouth, but you know what? This is who I am.
that's good.
I'm honest to a fault. I'm human, and I dream big. So for me how? Okay, you get to a place where I know with absolute certainty that even my wildest dreams will be obtained. But I do know that they're still scary. I'm still going to doubt myself, but I still believe with absolute certainty that as long as I keep showing up and never give up, I will get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Those
I
two
love it.
things do not live mutually exclusively.
Right.
Yeah.
They can go hand in hand. You can be scared and still strive for great things. Again, social media is full of shit, and the people preaching are full of shit.
This
a lot
is
of the
true.
times.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys and gals. If you want to accomplish something great, it's got to scare you.
Yeah.
You've got to go into the uncharted territory. Now, you just know better. So even right now, I want to build out a coaching program and a speaking, a speaking career. I need to surround myself with the best. And that's why I've taken chances on myself. I've invested huge amounts of money to be next to Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and Pace Morby and Chad Willardson and all these amazing players in that space.
Yeah.
Because before I even start on this mission or make all the mistakes, I now have the blueprint for what the highest level of success looks like. And sure, that scares the shit out of me. I told Tony Robbins I was going to get in front of 100,000 people by the end of this year. But now I got to go live up to that.
That's right. So you got to tell him.
So
well, thank you. That's awesome.
What is one thing you can do to move yourself forward from that, something that you want to change? One thing. Just do it. Yeah.
Build the plane in the air. Nike, free promotion, the best 3-word slogan created in the history of mankind. Just do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
The only wrong way to do it is to not do something.
To not do it. Exactly.
Everybody's preparing. You cannot prepare. You need to just do it and get started, and the rest will figure itself out.
Yeah.
Now, there's dumb ways to do it, and that's a whole long conversation, but just get started. You'll start to learn what doesn't work so you can make the adjustments to start to do what does work.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. And so what do you think is going to be next for you? I know you have to now talk in front of a huge group of people because you said you would.
100,000.
What's the next thing that's up for you?
We've got social media. So getting in front of 100,000 people is not that far-fetched.
No.
In person, no, because, that would take some great, huge crowds and very often. So what's next for me, I'm actually moving down to Florida, South Florida more specifically, from Long Island, New York, where I live now, because there's much more opportunity there. Not only is it a lifestyle change, and this last winter was like the
good way to go.
Back.
We just came back from there.
Yeah.
I know, I just did too, and I'm going back this week, but we're moving down there because number one, the lifestyle change, the outdoor lifestyle, more active.
Yes.
Being cooped up in the 6 months, 5 months out of the year here in New York is just not conducive to what I'm trying to grow into. I need the reps, and I need it in a compounded form. So the busier I stay and the more work I do in a shorter amount of time, the quicker I'll get to my 10,000 hours of mastering the crafts that I'm chasing.
Yes.
So what's next for me is more transformational speaking. You're going to see the social media take a big pivot in the near future because I'm bringing on some very, very good people that are going to help me tailor that message to impact as many people, both in the entrepreneurial space through coaching, but also through the nonprofit space in terms of impacting young adults and planting these seeds of hope and change for them.
Good.
So you're going to see a lot more of that in the coming days. We're going to aim to do another book before the end of the year, The Money Mindset Movement, which helps people to change their money mindset. Because just like so many of the things that we talked about, money's an energy.
Yes.
And so many of us are fighting the tide when it comes to bringing that energy to us. We have conflicting values around what money is and what it does, but I've been able to see some great people do great things and love on their families and their wives healthily and still make huge sums of money. And as one of my mentors, Dean Graziosi, pulled me aside and said, you can write much bigger checks the more money you make. Because I was like, I've got to choose one or the other. I'm going to make impact or I'm going to make money. And the truth is, money isn't the root of all evil. It's the root of all impact.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. What's your self-care routine?
Yeah. What do you do to take care of you? Because you talk a lot about it in the book.
I love me some weights. I love the gym. That's my anchor. That's my happy place. That's the first thing I do on most days. So I am up at 5 o'clock.
Us too.
Early. And we do some self-care in terms of drinking some water, taking our multivitamins, reading our message for the day or journaling, and then getting off to the gym. Sometimes we'll do some breath work. Sometimes we'll do some priming or some meditation. So I mix it up amongst those things, but I always take 10 to 15 minutes every morning to do one of those things, albeit journaling, meditating, breath work, priming, before I go out into the gym and then put in that hard work. So by the time I get home, protein shake, and then I take my daughter to school almost every day, which I did this morning, and almost every day at 8:30 before I'm off to the office and doing my.
I love
Very
it.
nice.
So you're
That's
making the
great.
most of your mornings,
Yeah.
and you have these rituals that are
And you get off
for
to
you.
a good start.
Yeah.
The hardest part of your day is out of the way. There's other things that I do. I don't know if you're familiar with float tanks,
Yeah.
which are basically Epsom salt in a containment, like sensory deprivation. I'll do that on occasion. IV treatments. I don't know if there's a placebo there. Again, this is America, and we have to be cognizant of the fact that there aren't many fail-safes to people introducing products and services and things that can enhance our life. But it's simple. Let's bring it back
It
here.
is simple.
But that
Hydrate,
morning routine
Yeah.
is key.
move,
Yep.
love,
Breathe.
community,
Yes.
blue
Yeah.
zone living.
It
It's
is.
pretty
It is.
simple, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be for the rich or the wealthy. And I think many of the products that have taken center stage and will continue to take center stage as biohacks are things that only people with resources and money can afford.
Yeah.
And it deters the people at the bottom from thinking that they have access to the same thing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
very true.
Yeah.
Not eating McDonald's versus eating, Whole Foods, just as powerful if you're not doing it.
Yep.
Going for a 30-minute walk if you're sedentary, just as powerful.
Yes.
So just get started.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
So,
right.
one more thing. What's a takeaway that you would like people to know
About life, about business,
about whatever
anything.
comes to mind?
lean into your humanity. Lean all the way into your humanity. We're faced with technology that is robbing us of the one thing that makes us human. And we will be further from our true selves. I think people have become so dependent on technology that the greatest resource that they have can be right in front of them, and they're not using it. At the end of the day, we all need to be connected to our fellow humans. It's what makes us human. Love, understanding, communication. And, I'm getting up in age. I've still got young children. My wife's currently pregnant, so we got another one on the way. And the only people that are going to be at my bedside when I'm dead or dying are the people that I love the most.
Mm-hmm.
So, people are and always will be your greatest resource. And part of me not feel sorry, but I really hope this next generation gets to tap into that before it's too late. Because I think more and more the future looks like just an android, like
Yeah.
a symbiotic version of a human intertwined with a robot. And we're going to lose our humanity more and more as time goes on. And I think the people that can stay connected to their humanity will find the most fulfillment. And we've already seen the proof that the more we lean into the technology available to us, the more unfulfilled that we are if we don't know how to manage that and
Yes.
in
Yep.
our lives.
Yeah.
So you see very affluent people, they have the money and the resources to pay for their children to be entertained and off their phones.
That's right.
So they're going to classes, they're doing the things. And unfortunately, people that don't have the resources but need that release and that break, they are more quick to throw their kids in front of a phone. So a lot of the
Yes.
evidence
Very
supports
true.
it.
Yes.
Very true.
Very true.
That's not just a poverty thing. There's plenty of people with resources that are unaware of the damage that technology is doing. So I'm going to be that stinking dad that doesn't let their kids get a cell phone till 13.
Yes.
Now, mind you, they play with our phones in our presence, but not to have their own, not to go to the room, not to disappear.
Right.
We actually did a really great episode
We
with
did.
this company called Digital Prep Academy. I'll send you the episode.
Yeah.
They're all about, that's exactly what their whole thing is waiting
great.
until you really
have
know that your children are ready for
And
technology.
there's a test that you can give your child to see if they're ready for a phone.
It's really
free test.
really incredible.
Please text that to me.
I
I'm
will.
gonna
I'll send
cue
it
my
to you.
daughters to say you're not ready for a phone till you're 17.
That's right. That's right. So,
All
all
right.
right. Well,
So
thank
good.
you. This was an incredible episode. So
Mhm.
we thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for taking time
Yeah.
and being on our show. And it was, again, when we always talk about connecting the dots, you know, it was a dot. You know, I met Dan, and then Dan put us in our podcast group, and then I met you. So it was like all meant to
Dan
be.
through a gentleman that came on my show. He's a cool cat from the Bronx. He does like street interviews. He's a little more in the streets and hip hop and that community. So not even from this, but the energy was so great when I met him, and he had his own podcast. I said, bro, come on. And he invited me on his, and we literally, he pulled out his cell phone, and we were at a restaurant in the Bronx, and that guy had Dan on, and he introduced me to Dan.
See, it's all meant to be.
And next thing I know, Dan is at a seminar in New Jersey for Sean Callaghy, where Charlie Sheen was on that day. And I see Dan sitting across from me. We texted each other. His speaker had fallen out for his event that was coming up 2 weeks later. And he invited me to speak. And I got to speak not only with Dan, but Mr. Pedro's Coolian, who now we both coach with.
Yes, look at that.
And has opened some incredible doors for me as a speaker as well. So
wonderful.
there are no coincidences.
No, there
right?
aren't.
The luck
So we
increases the harder you work.
That's right. So we were meant to meet.
Very
so
true.
Thank you so much for being on our show. And we will include all of the information on you and where people can find you, put it all in the show notes. And we will be back again with another great episode coming up. And Cindy always has final words of wisdom.
Yeah. So remember to pause, breathe, and then respond instead of reacting. And always do hard things. And make sure you follow our podcast.
Yes, we always say that because sometimes we don't follow or subscribe. Sometimes we watch podcasts and we don't hit the button.
Just watch the episode.
Watch the episode. So make sure to subscribe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on,
great.
and we will see you again soon.
Thank you, Cindy.
All
Thank you,
right.
Jen.
Yes, thank you.